Well, here we are. Happy New Year. It is January 4th, 12 noon on 2016. So, been busy already today and woke up after really 3 days of what I call free days. I've referred to this before, where you take a complete day from midnight to midnight and you don't do any work at all. No email, no phone, no texting, no even thinking about work. And so I took from New Year's Day and then the Saturday and the Sunday off and woke up today refreshed, brain really going. So as always, I have more ideas that I want to do than I have time, and that's okay. And so I wanted to share some of the stuff that I'm working on today as part of my efforts going into this week, into today, into this week, and into this month, and into this year. So the first thing I did this morning was work on a Quora post. So Quora has been really good to me from a marketing standpoint, and I started introducing myself back into Quora over the last few weeks, doing some posts here and there. And as part of my marketing plan for this year, I've committed to doing one Quora post per week, and preferably post those on Monday morning. And so the reason I want to do those on Monday morning is that I can get the most bang for the buck out of the content for that week in Quora, and then of course repost and reuse that content in a lot of different places. So as an example, posting in Quora and then a day later posting that same post in LinkedIn to reach a different audience, and then also making sure that those posts are getting repeated and reposted in places like Medium, on my Facebook page, on video blog posts. So that was another thing I experimented with last year, was doing a longer Quora post and then just taking one idea out of that Quora post and then just doing a short video blog, say like something like 3 to 5 minutes. And so that's also on the plan. So starting this morning, I got up, and before I checked email, before I really turned on the internet, before I did anything, I dove into a Quora question that I'd started last week, did some rough sketching and some outlining on, and then sat at the coffee shop here locally in Davis and knocked out that post. So it took a lot longer. It was a monster. It was almost 1,500 words and lots of external links and a question that took a lot of planning to figure out how to answer. And it felt really good to get it done. I almost skipped it. Even though it was the very first day of this new plan, it was really, really tempting to skip it. And instead, I stayed vigilant to the plan. I'm glad I got that out, because now I have that content that I can reuse over and over this week. So that was the first thing I worked on. The next thing I worked on today, the other thing I'm working on today, is the start of what I'm calling a 10-day sales call challenge. And so it sounds pretty innocuous to do 10 sales calls in a day. And this is something I also experimented with last year, when I realized I was not doing a very good job of promoting myself and getting people into my startup selling program. I realized I just wasn't doing enough sales calls. And so I did a couple of days last year in a week, which again sounds kind of crazy to only do a couple of days of heavy selling. The results were really good. So as I focused on selling, magical things happened. And so what I'm going to do this year, starting off both myself and then also pushing my startup selling members to do the same thing, is to do a 10-day sales call challenge. So basically doing 10 sales calls per day for 10 days. So you get 100 sales calls done in 2 weeks. And that's, it doesn't sound like a lot. It is a lot when you're doing a lot of the planning. If you're doing a lot of colder outreaches, or you're contacting people maybe that come by your LinkedIn profile, people that may have liked or commented on a post of mine. I noticed that these live streams that I'm doing, as I'm posting those to Twitter, I'm getting a few people that are clicking the favorite button on LinkedIn, and as I'm going into those profiles, I'm realizing, wow, these are people that I probably should be talking to. If they're not necessarily a sales lead, they are people that I could be doing customer development calls with, or I could at least be developing a relationship with, so that I could get access to other people through referrals. And so what I've been doing, and just to, grab this sheet real quick. So this is a sheet that I've been using, which is it's called a Startup Selling Project Planner. So I use it with my members, and I use it myself now. And basically what I'm doing is just going day by day, saying, okay, what is the focus of each day? Where am I going to get my 10 sales call leads, if you will? And so I've got a kind of a portfolio now that I've built out of different contacts, different places where my content's getting posted and people are responding to it. So for example, today is a focus on the pipeline, sales pipeline. These are people that I have talked with over the last couple of weeks, and I need to figure out whether or not these are real leads or not real leads. And if they are real leads, if they're real opportunities, then let's get a call scheduled with those folks. And if not, then let's kick them out. And the other place I need to focus are some partnership stuff that I've been doing with incubators. And so I've had about five, I think it's about five incubators that I've been developing relationships with over the last couple of weeks, and I owe those folks a follow-up. So I count that as a sales call in some ways because it is advancing a relationship. It's moving closer to, closer to a sale or closer to a partnership event of some kind. And so maybe sales calls isn't exactly the right terminology. Maybe it's sales activity or sales attempt of some kind. And so just doing 10 of these in a day, I know will lead to results, which is why I'm doing it, why I'm committing to do it, so that I come out of the next 2 weeks really primed and ready to go with a really robust funnel and a good pipeline. And it also, frankly, is a good opportunity for me to eat my own dog food. So as much as I'm teaching and coaching people that I work with the startups that are trusting me to help them, it's one thing for me to say, hey, go do content marketing, do posts on Quora or LinkedIn, or go do a webinar. And then I can go tell them, hey, go do 10 sales calls in a day. And the fact is, if I'm not doing it, then it's not as an effective of a message. So that's why I'm committing to doing this. So it's as much for me as it is to show that I'm committed to what I'm teaching. So that's the second thing I'm working on. I've already started 2 outreaches. So I've done 2 outreaches to people that I've been in some level of contact with to ask for their time to do some customer development interviews over the next couple of weeks. So that's the third thing I'm working on is building out a schedule for myself over the next 6 to 8 weeks to do 20. So you can see there's a lot of numbers here that I'm throwing out here. So 10 sales calls a day for 10 days, 100 sales calls, committing myself to 20 customer development conversations. These are not sales calls. These are not selling of any kind. Potentially they could lead to sales if we get into a conversation and people are interested. My goal here is to find my target market, which is startup CEOs, preferably CEOs that are selling or developing enterprise products, preferably SaaS, software as a service. So anybody who's selling enterprise or business to business sorts of selling, that's kind of my key niche there. And so building out a list over the next 8 weeks to do 20 customer development calls. So it's roughly 2 to 3 customer development calls. And the reason I want to do that is to make sure that as I'm promoting myself, as I'm developing content, that I am reaching the right pains, the right fears, the right frustrations for the target market that I have. So I think I know, and even if I'm 90% right, that's not 100% right, and that last 10% can be a 90% difference in how I'm able to build out the sales funnel here. So that's another number, if you will. Another on a personal side, one of the numbers I'm working on is a 31 consecutive day run challenge. So over the holidays, I got back from a very pleasant and very, let's say, fattening trip to the East Coast visiting family. I got home and I realized I gained about 7 pounds in a week, and that was after working out 5 of those 7 days. So I was definitely fighting an uphill battle. And as a means to get fit again, I'm challenging myself to do 31 consecutive days of running. So I've done, actually already started on December the 30th, so I'm into my 5th day. Today will be number 6. And so a run can be at least a mile, so it doesn't have to be a huge run. So around my neighborhood, one loop is 1.4 miles. So sometimes I'll do that at night, even really late, because it's safe and it's just an easy way to get some exercise and to kind of keep the legs moving. But generally, though, it should be at least a 3-mile run for me, and then mixing in some 5 and 6 mile runs and some 9 and 10 mile runs. So it's not really about the quantity per run; it's just the quantity of runs. So I'm building up a nice base looking into the 2016 racing year. So that's another way that I'm measuring myself, another metric, sort of a short-term goal. And then finally, the other big focus today is, or the big focus is 2 sales calls with potential clients. And so I'm excited about these because, in particular, these are one was a referral and one was a person that came through the LinkedIn channel, kind of found me, and we interacted a little bit with each other. And we did a short call last week as a way to just assess whether or not this could be a good fit. And so I'm excited. Particularly excited about these 2 calls today, because it's the first day back at work. It's Monday, January the 4th, and I've got 2 really solid calls already scheduled. So it's kind of validation for the hustle and the effort that I put in over the last couple of weeks, when a lot of folks are always claiming that, the holidays is a slow season and nobody responds, or nobody wants to, commit to anything yet through the work that I did over the last 2 weeks in some of those off days, days that a lot of people wouldn't even bother. I was able to crank out these 2 meetings the very first day back. So that's what I'm working on. I've got a few more meetings like that scheduled later this week. And so really the push here is to get into a groove, to find a routine, again, for the new marketing plan, getting into a routine for doing the 10 sales calls per day for the next 2 weeks, getting into a routine for finding and inviting people, asking people for some time to do customer development, and then also make sure that I'm spending some time for myself, taking care of my mental and physical state. So that's what I'm working on right now. That's today. I hit the ground running, no pun intended. I am off and running for sure. So that's it. That's all I've got for now. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. If you didn't make it this far, maybe next time. And we'll do it again tomorrow. Scott Sambucci signing off.